native material. Maybe one of the longest in the group is Sean, who has been doing it, I think, ever since I've been in the club, so 9-ish years,
Yeah.
9-10 years, somewhere in there. He's very familiar with what's available out there, Missouri species, how to take them and how to kind of get them from that early collection stage where you're just trying to get to survive, and then pushing it along towards the next stage where you're trying to make it look like a pretty cool tree in a pot. So Sean's going to talk about his experience. If you have any questions, he's open to field any questions that anybody might have. So without further ado, welcome Sean with me, please.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks to the club for having me. I've been collecting for 7-8 years at least, and down in southern Missouri. I know the club goes down to Mark Twain National Forest. I go a little bit further south than that, and I would say we're Arcadia Valley area is where I do most of my collecting, if not all of the collecting. That area is the Ozark Mountains. It's a very rough terrain, and I've been told by other people in the club that have come with me on those collecting trips, we have a special area where we're collecting from, because like I said, it's pretty rough, it's pretty steep. Yes, I've almost fallen off a cliff trying to get a tree. That's one of my first years out. And today I just want to share some of my tips and tricks and things that I've had success with and things that I haven't had success with. As with all principles of doing what we do in this hobby, your results may vary, but I can only speak to the success that I've had and the failures that I've had. So first off, I just wanted to share some of the species that I've had better luck with here in Missouri. And the first two that I recommend, or at least I think work really well for bonsai, is our American hornbeam, and then the American hop hornbeam. So for those of you who are look at the Latin of the Carpinus carolinea, and then the Austria virginiana. And so I know Jesse might, did I get those right? Probably not. But both those hornbeam species here in Missouri work really well. First of all, they root very well. They have smaller leaf size. The two biggest difference between the two hornbeams are that the Carpinus carolinea has a smooth bark, and you can see like the muscles and the ridges on it. And then the Austria virginiana has the more rough bark on it. Both are fantastic. Like I said, they adopt a bonsai culture really well. The leaves will reduce over the summer. These especially, you can trim on them all throughout the year. Unlike a Japanese maple where you've got to reel it in as far as when you're cutting for ramification, you can do this non-stop throughout the summer, and they respond incredibly well. It's almost comical how well they respond to trimming back. Another one that I've had great success with is our dogwoods. Dogwoods, again, are like weeds. This is the flowering dogwood, which is the Cornus floridia, sorry, I didn't bring my readers. But the ones with the plated bark, they do get the flowers, and they do incredibly well. I don't think I've lost one of the hornbeams or a dogwood in collecting in my years of collecting. So moving on to other species that do really well are the maples that we have here in Missouri. So the sugar red and silver. And where I'm collecting, it's not terribly far away from Arkansas, and there is hybridization that goes on in forests. And I know, like if you look up chalkbark maples, technically they're only in certain pockets of Arkansas and a few other places in the mid-south. But I have a strong feeling some of the maples that we collect might be hybrids of that, or somewhat, because the leaves are about the size of probably $50. I know people don't really carry coins anymore, but They are very small leaves, and they do have this very white bark on them. So again, and they will reduce in leaves. You can cut them back for ramification. They do really well with bonsai. So to just give you an idea, these trees have been, it was collected, this is probably the oldest one, I'd say 7 years ago. This one was maybe 4 years ago. And these were probably 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago. This was maybe a year or two ago. I should probably write this down when I collect them. And then this little guy, the top died, and so I cut it off, and I'm hoping to show him that. So these are the species, when I'm out and about and collecting, I'm looking at the trunks and the interest that they have. I don't, just like what we do in typical bonsai culture, you're looking for something with interest, something that's just not as straight as a ruler. First and foremost, it can be a fun game when you collect something you don't know what it is, and in the spring when the buds pop, you're like, oh, surprise, it's this. So that happens from time to time. Some of the species that I haven't had a ton of luck with are oaks. Of all the time that I've been collecting, I only have 2 oaks that have survived and done well. I've had a number of them not make it. Redbud, in my experience, it's possible. I have one that's done okay. Sassafras, good luck. With the people that I've gone with, there's only one sassafras that has made it, and again, we didn't know what we were collecting when we collected it. And then serviceberry is another one. I have one, and again, not impossible, but I personally haven't had a ton of luck with serviceberry. And then with oaks, in my experience, with the ones that I've had and that are thriving, they don't like to be wired, even lightly. If you wire them, that branch tends to drop dead randomly. I don't have a horticultural background. There might be a very real reason for that, but haven't had much luck with wiring oak. So it's a lot of guy wires, other alternate methods of design and styling. So again, I know a lot of you have been out and about, and I'll get a little more into the trees, but I wanted to talk about the equipment that I'm bringing with me when I'm out in the woods. And my number one favorite tool is a battery-powered Sawzall. That does cut down on a lot of cutting, sawing, especially when you're hiking around in the woods. That's my number one favorite tool, and of course a couple of extra batteries. Where I'm collecting, the soil is incredibly rocky. It's very difficult to walk on, in fact, and we have found that if your shovel is a flathead shovel, it does much better in that type of soil condition. A branch slopper, of course your kitchen trash bags, and your electrical tape to wrap up the root ball when you're collecting. So I collect anytime from mid-December to mid-February. My success rate isn't any better or any worse, depending. So December's just fine, up until mid-February is just fine as far as collecting time. I know when, who was the woman from, I think it's Croatia, she came to her, Maria. When she did Skype for us maybe a year or two ago, one of the things that she suggested, and I agree wholeheartedly, that when you're digging the deciduous trees out of the ground, do all the damage that you're going to do to that tree, like the big cuts and the big roots, right then and there. Don't say, I'm going to conserve this roots, or I'm going to make that chop later. Do it at the beginning. It seems that the tree will, if it's going to recover from something like that, it's going to recover when those roots and those chops are made, when you're taking it out of the ground. So she was spot on with that. And when I do collect, I put it in pumice, 100% pumice, after collection. And I only keep it in pumice for that first year. Pumice works incredibly well at establishing roots, And, for those of you with larger collections, there's some years where you can't get to everything. And there's been a number of years where I've left things in pumice and, I could only water it or only had time to water it. I've noticed that things languish in pumice. They don't thrive in pumice. So it's a good starter. And I highly suggest getting it into a higher quality bonsai soil after that first year. Speaking of that first year, in my experience, if it is vigorous and thriving, feel free to start wiring and cutting it back. It's a native. It's almost comical how well these respond to what we're doing to them versus the Japanese maples that I mostly work on. You can do things to our natives that would kill Japanese maples, and these guys are just come back for more. They're like, what else you got? So I think that's one positive things, one of the most beneficial things, because especially with spraying for pests and things like that. I mean, these things do have pests, but not like the Japanese maples and trident maples and other more things that are not native to our area. In year 2, like I said, make sure you get them out of that pumice. And I love the Aoki Akadama that we use for maples. And then after that, I treat a lot of our natives just like a Japanese maple. So I'll start repotting once those buds are swelling and then popping. So this guy I'm going to repot probably tomorrow. And it's maybe a little bit late, but again, I've had a lot of luck when the buds are swelling. They're not like trident maples where you can pretty much do them anytime and they're going to be fine. I've had a lot of luck when the buds are swollen, pop into that stage of popping and leafing out. So other random things, if your success rate's less than 80% when you're collecting, I would suggest that you revisit how you're collecting. I've had a pretty decent success rate in collecting. Always keep in mind too, when you're collecting, how much of the roots that you're actually getting, because when you're out there in the forest and digging, it's so funny, sometimes you think you got all these fine roots and they belong to every other tree around that tree. So just be mindful of that. Having done this for as long as I've done it, when I first went out there, I'd get tree drunk. I want this tree, I want that tree. And so I've tried to refine what I collect, and because it's not overall good for the forest just to take anything and everything. Look for that special tree, I don't know. To me, that's more inspiring than just grabbing any old thing out of the forest that has a little bit of interest. Any questions so far? Yes. Oh, Mike.
So the trees going strong after collecting. Is the first time you would trim it or style it, wire it basically that fall after collection, or would you wait till the following spring?
I would do that summer if things are really getting long and thick. Like for example, some of these branches up here are pretty. I should have probably cut this back earlier because I've got thicker branches at the top of the tree. If it's vigorous, I say cut it right then and there, because it's showing that it's strong. Part of me is like, I have only sweat equity into the tree, but I've had success doing it right then and there. Like as soon as it extends and hardens off just a little bit, I'm trimming away. This dogwood, I probably let go a little bit too long, but they respond relatively well, even in that first year if they're vigorous. Oaks, no, don't do that. And like the ones that in my experience again that are harder to collect. And other questions? Yes.
Do you collect at like national parks for permission, or just for the side of the road? What do you
Private land, yeah.
private land.
Private land, yeah. I'm lucky to know somebody that has hundreds of acres where we collect, and he's been incredibly generous with letting us just go and collect at will. One of the things that he jokingly always says, I'd never notice, because there's just, millions upon millions of trees seemingly. So, Yes.
In terms of first pots for these collected plants, is there anything you like to favor? Do you like to have bigger pots so that they can kind of work themselves?
You know, I have a lot of what we in the club affectionately call the Bartley boxes, just wooden boxes that I make. Again, they're made out of cedar. They have a screen bottom with a few supports. You know, sometimes I have a decent supply of those in various different sizes, but I wouldn't hesitate to put something in like this is a mica pot. This is a little bit nicer, like Japanese pot. Whatever fits, but those wood boxes tend to do well with the pumice and the drainage and the oxygen exchange between the roots. Yeah.
Two things. Pawpaw and persimmon.
I've collected one persimmon. It did not live. It had persimmons on it. Pawpaw, I've never collected it because I've never seen it where we are. You gotta, you know, it might be good for winter interest, but that's got a pretty decent sized leaf on it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So if you collect it, share with the group.
Persimmon in general are very difficult to transplant. So
That's probably why mine didn't live. It's,
I mean, there's like all this literature about how hard it is to transplant.
What about fertilization for the first year?
So I treat it like a maple. You know, once things start popping, you know, I love organic. It's hard to go wrong with it. The Osmocote is a good cheap, you know, although not organic. But yeah, after they start popping and showing me that they're going to make it through.
Should there be more nitrogen than?
Good question, Jesse. I don't know if you, he's the horticulturist.
Well balanced. I would just do low numbers. I wouldn't overthink it either, but definitely wouldn't go like really high nitrogen.
Generally speaking, if you want more foliage growth, more elongation, you give more nitrogen. But if you're looking for more like health and root growth, then it's the PK portion of it. Up, down, all around is what I was always taught.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 native blueberry species. Have you collected any of those?
I have, and unsuccessfully. And a buddy of mine collected one earlier this year. I'm just interested to see if it'll make it because they've got smaller leaves and great fall color.
Yeah.
I've collected probably 2 or 3. None of them have made it.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you experience, you said your dogwoods do really well. I feel like whenever I'm out in the woods and I see dogwoods, they always have a lot of dieback and don't seem to be the healthiest.
You know, where I'm collecting, there's dogwoods everywhere. And in fact, they're like a dime a dozen where I'm collecting, and I'm just looking for the most gnarly, messed up trunks I can find. And I can find straight dogwoods all day long. But like I said, this flowering dogwood, I have maybe 5 or 6 total dogwoods, and they're much bigger. This was the one that was the easiest to transport, and they just do incredibly well, and they ramify easily, and again, I just laugh to myself, you know, how well our native species do with the techniques that we know how to do on Japanese maples. Jesse.
Have you had any dogwoods long enough or unproven where you're actually getting flower buds?
No, because I haven't. I'm cutting them back. Yeah. Oh, I've on some of my hop hornbeams and the other hornbeam, I've gotten some of those, the hops or in the what are they called? The catkins. Thank you. So yeah, I'm starting to get some of those on the trees that I first collected. So those are pretty cool to see. And yes.
When you get them in December, are you putting them in a garage?
Yeah, an unheated garage, protecting them.
Okay.
And thank you for bringing that up. And so they're still experiencing winter. Again, they're in pumice, and I'm keeping them moist but not wet. And in my garage, the door's going up and down several times a day, taking kids here, taking kids there, going to and from work. But they tend to make it through that cycle.
Are you doing the full trunk chop? at the site?
Yep, at the site, yep. Like this was probably a 10-foot tree when I chopped it. So as you can see, I've cut paste on it, you know, and it's starting to roll over pretty strongly. And, you know, I'm scarring it around this time of year, putting that cut paste back on there. And they're doing pretty well with that. Any other questions?
I have a
Sure.
maple question. I've got a sugar maple that I collected, and I'm slowly getting the leaves a little smaller. Do you treat a sugar maple like a Japanese maple?
I do. I never fully defoliate, just out of abundance of caution. I just haven't had the cojones to take them all off and see what happens. But actually, I got a tree from Tim, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. Because he didn't want it, he said just take it, and that's what I started experimenting on. And you can get those down to about a quarter size.
So are you pinching the bud then as it's emerging to try to keep the internode short? Because one of the things I really don't like about it is it just will throw a 6-inch internode.
Yes,
to try
yeah.
to reach light.
And so, yeah, I'm constantly cutting those back. Like this is pretty long. I'm confident if I cut here, it's going to throw something here. And so, don't be afraid with these guys. You know, I've been a little more cavalier with cutting back on them. And so, as far as defoliation, I am just selectively defoliating. You know, because it'll have a big leaf going. Yep. And then I'll throw another one, you know, and just throughout the year, because like I said, I just haven't gone crazy with it and done it all at once.
So like selective defoliation to let light into the interior to
So
activate
yeah,
this bud.
yeah. So
cool.
I have a red maple I got last year, and I'm a newbie, so it's too tall. We repotted it now more than a month ago, and it seems to be thriving because it was very root bound. Is it okay to take some of the top down now?
yeah, you probably could. Depending, I mean, how much of the root ball did you take off? Like this is the time of year to do that trunk chop. You could certainly do that. And you know, you might have a little bit of dieback with it, so keep that in mind wherever you chop that. And then obviously put your cut paste on it, see where it dies back, so you carve it down. And then when you're carving it down, you're just looking for that live tissue, so you know it's live at that point. And then use your cut paste that up, and it'll start rolling. It might take several years for that to not look so bad, but I think you can safely do that. Yeah.
Do you ever culture a stinking ash?
No.
Also off the tree, I think.
And I'm not familiar. Yeah. I know, like in the state of Missouri, they identify like how many native trees we have, but no, I have not.
Try it out.
Any other questions before we go into the next part?
Another good tree to collect is the swing down.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I have those, and they're pretty. Thank you, Ryan. Winged elms. You know, for those of you not familiar, the branches will get those, you know, wings on them, and they do very well. Small leaf size, great fall color, and they do respond pretty. You know, I would put them in again, my experience. I know, very anecdotal. They're probably in this category. So thank you, Ryan, for bringing that up. Hey, Julie.
So you say you make your big cut and then you put the cut paste on, then it's every year you're taking that off and looking and deciding if you need to scarify it?
Yeah, I'll scar it a little bit just to keep that, keep it rolling.
And then you
I cut it back up, cover it back up.
paste
Mhm.
back on.
And you know, I'm using not the liquid stuff, but the Play-Doh clay. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. I'll be here for the rest of the meeting. If you have any questions or think of it later, feel free.